a few days before the St. Louis mayoral elections. I got a couple questions for you, and I guess the first one for the people: how has all the employment and politics from the House of Representatives, how's that helped shape you now while you're running for mayor?
Well, that gives me the experience to lead. I spent 4 years in the Missouri State House, also in leadership. Spent 8 years in the Treasurer's office, so I have the executive and legislative experience ready to lead the city into the next century.
And right now we're in a COVID pandemic. Is there a plan maybe that's in place, or what do you have that's going to attach to the COVID plan?
So I have a background in healthcare administration, and that's what this moment demands. We don't have time for leadership to learn on the job. And so I look forward to working with our St. Louis County's Department of Health. We need to get our health directives in sync so it's better for St. Louis City and County, and therefore the region, instead of having different health directives based on what part of the city or county you live in.
Correct. I love it. So Can you ask me some about the vendors? How are the city of St. Louis? I saw some stuff in the news. They said, "Oh my goodness, Tishaura's doing something wrong." Tell me, how are vendors selected for the city of St. Louis?
We have a public RFP process that procedures that we follow.
Gotcha.
And this particular vendor that everybody's all up in arms about is a Black female-owned business, and I believe in providing opportunity. But she is also the only Black business, or the only business period, in the region that does what she does.
Sure.
So we had an open process. I was not involved in the process. My staff chose her as the finalist, and she is totally qualified to do that business. And we're not outsourcing. This part of the Treasurer's office, or the parking division, has been outsourced since before I got there. And so it's just meter maintenance, collections, and the Parking Violations Bureau. So these are good paying jobs. They pay a living wage. And also, again, this is a Black female-owned business that does the work.
You're talking about jobs. That's very important to people. And let's take it back. You're the treasurer. Mm-hmm. Treasurers do a lot of planning, am I correct?
Yes, the treasurer is the chief cash management and investment officer for the city of St. Louis.
That's exciting. I'm also one of the small businesses in the city of St. Louis. I have a video production company.
Right.
The question, jobs. How are you going to help create jobs for the city of St. Louis?
Well, we have to work with our corporations. I think we already have jobs, right? It's about we have assets over here and we have people over here, and it's about matching those assets to people.
You're doing some treasurer talk, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah, because I manage assets, right? And so we do a good job of providing assets, but what we don't do a good job of is matching those assets up with the people. So that's what we have to do going forward. We have to have workforce development programs. We have to have GED training, making sure that people have the right training in order to be matched up to a good job, and then also making sure that our corporations will be willing to hire people, sometimes with not always the cleanest background. We got to give people a second chance, because look at our criminal justice system. If 90% of the people are African American in the criminal justice system, then how can we expect them to get jobs if the barrier to employment is having a clean criminal record? So something's got to give.
I think everybody showed up late to work or got a speeding ticket, so nobody's perfect out there.
Right.
So, and another one that is very important, you just talked about, the city workhouse. Let's talk about criminal justice for a second. And mm-hmm. I hate to say, this lady is smart. She does a lot of planning. So I read something that said that, and it's not really defunding the police that you're interested in doing.
Well, I'm talking about doing a top-to-bottom audit of all of the money that we bring in and all of the money that we spend. We have to look at our sources and uses of funds to see, what we're spending money on. Is it giving us a return on the money where we spend? Or is it the right investment? Are we spending it in the right place? And is it making us safer?
And bringing that home is like, Should I pay my is me paying my cable bill important? No. Me paying my light bill or me paying my education bill is the most important. Is that what you kind of mean, triage stuff? Or?
Well, what I mean is, you know, we spend a lot of money on public safety for public safety related things, and are we safer is the question that we need to ask. Are we safer for all of the money that we spend on our current system? And if not, then how do we take our existing assets and reallocate them and our existing spending and to transform our public safety department of one that leads with arrest and incarcerate to one that leads with prevention?
And that is beautiful. Your statements are absolutely beautiful. And because the last question really is, how do we get St. Louis to work together? The Delmar divide. Last question, how do we get St. Louisans to work together?
Well, that's simple. You know, we have to reach out and communicate. And if you look at the coalition that's supporting me, I have voters and supporters and people who don't support me from all over the city crying out for help. And what they're asking for is someone who's ready to lead, govern, and unify on day one. And we have to be able to come to the table and have those difficult conversations in order to move our city forward. Look, I don't have to like you to work with you, but we can sit at the same table and work on issues in order to move our city forward.